constructing a good pie crust is a balancing act, okay? We begin by weighing out 12 ounces of all-purpose flour and dumping that into your favorite food processor. We will follow that with 1 teaspoon of standard table salt. Now, I know you're probably surprised to not hear me, using kosher salt, but it's just too big and crunchy for this application. Next, we will go with 3 teaspoons of regular granulated sugar, and of course, 3 teaspoons is 1 tablespoon. Very good. I knew you'd get that. Now, just slap on the lid and spin it for just a few seconds to bring the mixture together. There, that should do it. Now we bring the fat to the party, starting with 6 ounces of chilled, unsalted butter. Cut into about ½ inch pieces. Just pulse that 5 or 6 times until the texture just begins to look kind of mealy. That looks good. Now, we bring 2 ounces of chilled vegetable shortening to the bowl. Small chunks, please. Pulse another 3 to 4 times or just until incorporated. Since they have different melting points, the butter and the shortening will work together to create a better texture. And once that's in, we're going to need a liquid. Not much, but enough to hydrate the flour and activate a bit of gluten. Let's see, besides apple juice or even apple cider, we could use water. But why bother when we've got, let's see, applejack. If apple pie is the most American of desserts, then this is the most American of alcoholic beverages. I'm putting in the pie to the tune of 5 tablespoons right on top, and then just pulse until it comes together into kind of big hunks. Yeah, like that. There, that's what we're looking for. Divide the dough in half by weight, shape each half into a disc, wrap in plastic wrap, and chill for at least an hour and up to overnight. That will give the fat time to re-solidify and the flour time to soak up all that lovely applejack. Once you've harvested your slices, move them all back to a bowl and toss with 1/4 cup of plain old-fashioned sugar. Once you've got that tossed in, you're going to want to move the apples and whatever sugar is still hanging on to them into a colander. Then put the bowl back underneath that so that we catch every bit of liquid that drains away. There. We're going to let this just sit and drain for an hour and a half. By now, the apples will have given up quite a bit of juice, and although we don't want them in the apples, doesn't mean that we don't want them in the pie. So, into a small saucepan or saucier and over medium heat until it reduces down to a glaze of 2 tablespoons. Now, we assemble the rest of the filling. Time to convert these doughy rounds into a crunchy crust. First, we need our station set. I have here some flour, just all-purpose flour for sprinkling. I've got a nice big open clean expanse. I've got a rolling pin. I prefer French, that is one without handles. And we'll need a couple feet of wax paper on which we will actually do the deed. A little bit of flour goes down because this is sticky stuff, and the first disc comes out. Little flour on top of that, fold over the wax paper, and then roll. And I just kind of like rolling in one direction and then the other, and then turn all the way around. We're looking to bring the dough all the way out to the edge of the paper, which is about 12 inches. The tart pan also makes loading up the dough extra easy. Just flip the bottom piece over onto your disc, replace the wax paper, flip it over, and then fold the edges of the dough until everything is up onto the bottom of the tart pan. Then you just drop it down inside. Easy. Fold out the edges, and don't worry if they crack or tear. You can take off the excess and patch the holes. There, just push it down against the flutes. There, that's it. Okay, finally, we build Pie Bird, dead in the center. Boom. The apples will start layering from the outside in, which is convenient because the curve of the apple actually matches the curve of the pan. The goal here is to overlap them evenly as you go around. Just make another circle and then another circle inside that one until you're in the middle. There, now start building another layer on top of that and move outward. The goal, to have all the apples evenly interlaced and piled slightly higher in the middle than the outside. Of course, being able to kind of pile things against the pie bird helps in doing that. And now whatever liquid is remaining in the bowl, go ahead and pour that over. The top piece of crust just gets laid right over and kind of poke the little birdie's head through. And then sealing this is simple. Just use the heel of your hand and just push down against those crimps. Let the pan do the work for you. Again, if any splits or tears show up, like that one, we'll patch. Now the final step is the reduction, the glaze that we made. We just want to brush that on. You can see it's pretty sticky stuff. That's going to add a good bit of flavor, and because of the sugar, color. Just try not to get it right up against the edge where the pan is, or it'll literally glue the pie to the pan. Remove the bottom rack from your hot box, crank it to 425 degrees, and slide your pie right onto the floor of the oven. This way the bottom of the pie will brown and cook quickly before the apples have a chance to get too far along. That's important. After 30 minutes, we need to get the pie off of the floor of the oven so that the crust won't actually burn. So move a rack into the lowest or next to lowest position, get the pie back in, and then bake for another 20 minutes. Time is up. You know, I'm really sorry that we haven't worked out that scratch and sniff television yet, because nothing stinks up a house quite as pretty as apple pie. When the time finally comes to cut that pie, here's how we depan. This is the cool part. Just find something that is narrower than the bottom of the tart pan, and off it comes. I love that. You can either use a spatula and a paring knife to kind of jimmy off that bottom plate, or you can just leave it in place, which is what I do. Always cut with a serrated knife. It's a lot easier on the crust. And just kind of carve around the little blackbird. Here I come, birdie.